Today we're going to talk about Republicans' fatal mistake in adopting one specific Trump tactic, and I interview the stars from The Apprentice, which is the movie that Trump sent legal notice to censor, Jeremy Strong and Sebastian Stan, about their reaction to Trump trying to block the movie, and how it felt to do this project at such a critical moment in time. I'm Brian Tyler Cohen, and you're watching No Lie. So by now you've heard about Republican Mark Robinson, North Carolina's gubernatorial nominee, who, according to a new CNN report, called himself a black Nazi on a porn site message board, expressed support for slavery, and wrote a lot of other stuff that I literally can't say on this video. This stuff came out on the final day that Republicans had to actually replace him on the ballot, which, look, I'm not going to lie, I was worried about, because when your nominee gets exposed for calling himself a black Nazi, I don't know, that's probably the point at which the election becomes exponentially more difficult to win. And any party that had any sense or was in any way tethered to reality might take advantage of the opportunity to do exactly that. But here's where being the party of Donald Trump actually changed things for Republicans. Trump graduated from the Roy Cohen School of Management, which, ironically enough, is a point that we're going to expand more in the interview coming up in a few minutes with Jeremy Strong, who literally portrays Roy Cohen in the Apprentice movie. But part of that education Trump got is that he will never, under any circumstances, admit fault. And because the rest of the GOP now exists in the mold of Trump, they're doing the same thing. And so even though CNN uncovered literal evidence of Robinson's history of porn usage and slavery apologia, he and the North Carolina GOP just decided to deny. Again, there's evidence. Like, this isn't in dispute. He literally signed up with the same email address and username that he's used for years. It's him. But Republicans are now so committed to the bit of just trafficking in a reality of their own creation that they'll never admit fault. And look, that might work among the world's most undiscerning base, like these people who blindly buy Trump's NFTs and coins and crypto and shoes and hats and stock that's 80% down off its high. But remember, Republicans already have those people. Ostensibly, they want to expand their tent, expand their coalition, and actually reach out to people who aren't fawning MAGA lunatics willing to throw away their life savings on a gold coin with Trump's face on it because they saw it on a screen alongside one of his rallies. And those people, maybe they're Nikki Haley Republicans, maybe they're independents, maybe they're conservative Democrats, those people might be capable of being just a tad more discerning, and this new Republican strategy of just yelling fake news at anything critical or rallying behind the most dogshit candidates just because probably isn't going to fly with them. And yet, that's what Republicans can't manage to do. Adopt any semblance of a strategy that includes people who aren't already super on board. Like, Trump went in front of 75 million people at the debate. This was his last shot to reach a national audience and expand his tent, and instead of appealing to the very people he'll need to get beyond his 46-47% ceiling, he opted to go full manic and insist that immigrants were eating your pets. How many undecideds do you think he peeled off with that performance? The thing is, Trump is not capable of pivoting to anything resembling a general election strategy because the instant gratification of getting some adulation from his base is just too appealing. He needs to go for the lowest hanging fruit and say insane things to undiscerning people because the prospect of just getting his base to clap for him is just too undeniable. He can't even peel himself away from his rampant xenophobic comments for 5 minutes if it means that having his little fanboys pet him won't happen. That is all he cares about. There is no strategy, no tactic. He's just a tiny man with a fragile ego who desperately needs affection wherever he can get it. And the way that that's manifested into the rest of his party may very well be the reason that they lose North Carolina and hopefully the general election in November. Next up is a preview of my interview with Jeremy Strong and Sebastian Stan. You detail Trump's journey, largely influenced by Roy Cohen, to where he is today. On one hand, there could be sympathy for him given the fact that it was Roy who kind of molded him into who he is now. But on the other hand, Donald Trump is a grown-ass man. He has autonomy, and he's responsible for how he acts. Did playing this role and being part of this story change or influence how you felt about the person that you're portraying?
I can't remember where I heard it, but I can't remember if maybe you said it or I heard it recently where someone said, like, after a certain age, like 30, we can't no longer blame our parents for
Yeah.
for our actions, you know? I mean, you could, obviously I'm not a therapist or a psychoanalyst or anything, but I if you can trace certain things that sometimes can lead to other things in terms of there are seeds there that perhaps in at the right time at the right place lead to something else, and that could be an argument you could make here with him and how much was there before or influenced and what was taken. But I do feel like, we all come into this world as babies, and we're essentially a blank canvas, and we don't come into this world with opinions and things. We inherit a lot of things and traumas and relationships, and obviously our parents have to do with it. But after a certain point, right, you got to take responsibility in some way. And that's all of us essentially.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting that you say that because not taking responsibility is a hallmark of who Donald Trump is, even to today. And so, that
Always,
actually is his character.
did nothing,
Yeah,
always claim victory. I mean,
I would say that Roy Cohn really, his legacy is a legacy of denialism, of an intractable defiance of reality and a denial of reality, a denial of his own reality and a denial of the reality. And that is what one thing that he passed on,
Yeah,
that we're all seeing. Now, I also want to say, I think it was important to all of us. We approach these things as actors, as humanists. We're attempting to understand human nature. So while it's a monster movie, I think it's important to not say, that's a monster over there, I'm not a monster, that's a monster. A lot of the trouble that we're in America right now is because it's become so easy to demonize and otherize other people and take no culpability on ourselves. Roy Cohn was in me. I was able to locate Roy Cohn in me and find where he lived. And I think the movie holds a mirror up both to the country and this time that was a kind of crucible that formed Donald Trump's worldview, but also holds a mirror up to ourselves and our own complicity in creating someone like this.
Well, Jeremy, same question as I gave to Sebastian. Roy Cohn, again, is a pretty reviled figure, a pretty intimidating figure in history, obviously, given his what he was responsible for, not just with Donald Trump, but just unto himself. But by the end, he was completely subsumed and overshadowed by Trump, who was everything that Roy Cohn was, but just to the nth degree. And, he was ultimately reduced to a shell of who he once was relative to Trump, both physically and emotionally. Did that impact how you perceived the actual person you were playing? Like, was there a degree of sympathy at what he'd become? Or again, like, was there not?
Sure. I mean, sure. I think I felt sympathy and pity for him. That doesn't enter into what I'm doing as an actor, but me, Jeremy, I can feel that, and maybe it's a character flaw, but I can feel that. I think, I think it's important to be able to empathize. Not to say to just give everyone a free pass to do whatever they want, but yeah, he he believed that success and winning was the only moral measure, and that's a very scary system of morality. And he, it's in the film, but deny everything and never admit defeat. I mean, we saw that yesterday morning after the debate. These principles that he passed on are very much alive.
How does that hit you when you see something that you just created as art in this film, but to such a broader degree that Donald Trump might transpose it onto his leadership of the entire country if he wins the presidential election?
I find it harrowing, beyond harrowing. Yeah.
No, it validates, I think, the significance, I think, of the story and of the film. And again, we're living in a very selective thinking mentality and world right now, and that's, I think, very, very dangerous. And there is a denial of reality. I mean, it's really disconcerting that we have all this technology at our hands to be able to educate ourselves on things and research things. I mean, these things that we're talking about or that are in the film really they're out there to be discovered and to be researched. They've been well documented, but yet the choice is being made to go to the Wikipedia page or to whatever is more, convenient,
right.
and can't have any convenient approach to, certainly not artistically, because then we don't know how to communicate.
To listen to the full interview with Jeremy and Sebastian, click the thumbnail right here on the screen or check out the interviews playlist on my YouTube channel. You can also click the link on the screen to listen to the audio version of this episode, and of course to see more of my content, the subscribe button's on the screen as well.